Hello, everybody. We are back, and we have Ashley, our resident sex coach, with us today. Welcome back, Ashley.
Thank you. It's nice to be here. It always is talking to you. Always fun.
We always have so much fun together.
We do.
So before we jumped on here, we were kind of talking about our energy, which is so funny because that happens to be our topic of conversation today. Energy drainers and energy gainers. Can you tell us a little bit about that? What are those exactly?
Yeah, so energy, well, let's just start to the negative and build our way up to the positive. I like to work that way. So energy drainers, it's just simply what it is. It's things in your life, in your environment, relationship, job, et cetera, that just really, no matter how many times you do them, you don't look forward to it, you don't want to do it, they just make you feel bleh. And they just pull any kind of happy energy or excitement just right out of you. It's a struggle to do it. Um, it could be talking with your partner. It could be going to a job you hate. It could be feeding the dogs if it's a chore. It could be whatever just pulls your energy into the dumps. Energy gainers are the opposite. They're things that you look forward to. They're things that give you energy. They are things that just brighten your day, make you feel better about yourself, make you feel better physically, mentally, emotionally, yada yada. It could be a number of things. It could be working out, and seeing that's a tricky one. It could be both.
Mm-hmm.
So there are things that start up as drainers that can end up as gainers as well. So there's
And vice versa.
this and this, yep, and vice versa. So, and how that works, and everybody is different, and everybody has their own unique list of energy gainers and drainers, and they change throughout time.
Yeah, they do. I know one thing for me, that it can really be either, but more and more I'm finding that, and I guess there are two things, but let's start with this one first.
Mm-hmm.
Food prepping. Food prepping is something that I need to do so that I don't have to worry about food and nutrition during the week, because I can get it all done at one time, which
Sure.
at that time feels like an energy drainer to me, because it frankly makes me frustrated. Sometimes I
Yeah.
just get full on pissed off that I have to constantly be aware of what I put into my body.
Mm-hmm.
For me, it's not just one of those things where it just comes naturally. I have to purposefully, mindfully think about, what am I going to put into my body to fuel my body for the maximum benefit for the week. If I put this into my body, how's that going to make me feel? When, maybe I
Just
just
that
want to
alone is
eat.
mentally draining.
Yes, it is. Because there's that emotional attachment to it for me, that it frustrates me, that it makes me sad that that's even an issue, going through perimenopause, and the fact that I can't eat the way that I used to because my body metabolizes things very differently. So that definitely can be an energy drainer. But having it prepped out for me and not having to worry about it, being able to go into the refrigerator, grab something that I've prepped, knowing that it's healthy and I don't have to think about it, that ends
Mm-hmm.
up being an energy gainer.
And nor do you feel guilty about eating it later on.
Absolutely, no guilt whatsoever. So that's one that I've found that is really, it's both, but it ends up being more of an energy gainer in the long run.
Huh.
Another one that used to be a huge energy drainer for me is cleaning my house.
Oh, sure.
That
Sure.
used to be just such an energy drainer. And now that's an energy gainer for me.
How did you switch? How did you switch over?
Understanding that first of all, knowing that having a bunch of shit in your space and that physical clutter equals mind clutter.
Mm,
So removing that physical clutter is really mentally refreshing, and it feels so good for me. Um,
yes.
and so I've removed so much out of my physical environment that cleaning is not, it's not frustrating. I don't feel overwhelmed by the amount of shit. It's not a chaotic place in my home. And so now when I clean, it's like it's an energy transfer of not only am I cleaning the physical space, but I'm going through the mental process as well. And I really enjoy cleaning now.
Good, good. And that can also resonate in anything, really, to be real honest with you. If you have physical clutter and you might not even be aware that that's contributing to mental or emotional clutter
Hmm.
or relationship clutter, because there's relationship clutter, there's sexual clutter.
Yep.
If your bedroom or your intimate place is cluttered with dirty clothes, if you are a collector, if you are maybe a little bit of a hoarder when it comes to maybe some symbolic things, um, if your intimate space alone has clutter, you're going to lack the intimacy area. You're going to be mentally and emotionally drained. You're going to not look just at your bed or your sofa or wherever you spend your intimate time with your partner or yourself. You're going to see all the clutter, all the things
Mm.
that you needed to do, all the things that are still going to be there. And then your mind and your emotional state is not going to be good for, your pleasure potential, what your pleasure could be if that clutter wasn't around. So yes, physical clutter can be a very big drainer, even if you don't think it is. If you were to take that time to pick up a mess or do the dishes or have a schedule, or once a month you get rid of something, once a week you donate something, that could be also something that could boost your mental and emotional. I'm donating this stuff to my local Goodwill, or I'm donating this stuff to my local church. That can also be a gainer, as well
Hmm.
as not only getting rid of your stuff, but you're doing something for the community as well. So physical clutter can be a huge drainer, for sure, for sure. So I guess just in a general question, I know that you had switched off. Why was it a drainer for you to clean up to begin with, I guess?
Um, I definitely saw it as a chore.
Sure.
Um, I had other people who didn't place the same value on it that I did.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and that, I mean, that can be really frustrating. For example, I used to get angry while I was doing it. It's yeah. So I used to get frustrated, picking the stuff up. And one day I had this revelation. It was crazy. I'm walking around the house and I'm picking up these little oh my gosh.
I know this story and I love
Yes,
this story.
the things that are in here. These are straw snails, okay? And these were everywhere, guys, everywhere, all over the house, like just laying around. And it wasn't just them, it was like little pieces of plastic and stuff like that, because my husband constantly is doing something with his mouth, which I'm not going to complain about, actually. Uh, um, he always had these, little straw snails and things like this, and he would make them and he would set them down. And one day I'm cleaning and I'm just like, okay, and I get on I get on Facebook Live because it was a revelation to me. I can look at these in the way of being pissed off that I'm seeing them, or I can look at them and say, wow, this is a reminder that I have somebody here in my environment who I love and who loves me, because he would make those straw snails and he would hand them to me. I love you. And I keep them now. And
Mm-hmm.
actually, while I was making that video, he came home from work and proposed in the middle of that video. So it ended up being, straws were like a theme in our wedding, and that mind shift, just that difference in the frame of mind, has really made all of the difference. I would much rather have um, a mess in my house, um, of somebody who I love, than to not.
Yeah,
It's that
definitely.
simple.
It is. It is. And that's awesome. Um, Sometimes that's just all it takes, is just a different way of talking, or even giving yourself a mantra to say, um, like if you're a mom and you are tired of picking up your kids' mess and you get angry and you get frustrated that it's constantly there, just telling yourself as you pick up the 50th stuffed animal, or Lego that you've stepped on, or yada yada, or your teenager forgot to do their chores again and now you have to do it. Just reminding yourself of, I have lovely kids and a lovely husband or a lovely partner or whomever is in your life here with me, loving me. And I'm not going to lie, if your expectation and your rules are for them to pick up after themselves and they have forgotten or whatever, it can be extremely frustrating and annoying. But just constantly reminding yourself of that, or constantly reminding yourself of, I have boundaries. These are my rules and I have boundaries, and you are pushing my boundaries, which is an energy drainer for me, and deciding what you're going to do with that. Are you going to make them clean up after themselves, or are you just going to pick up? And that's a constant battle, especially with women, So, and mess is a big thing, especially with moms and wives and the whole nine, especially with them. And then you had mentioned perimenopause. We both going through that. That's a big energy drainer. That is something that we have little control over.
Right.
Super little control. As women, our bodies do things that we do not have any control over. And we have stages in our lives, and men do too. They have stages in their lives, and their testosterone declines and yada yada. And it's just stuff that you can't do anything about, really. And there are some things, but when your body is physically going through something that you have no control over, whether it be perimenopause, whether you have developed an illness, you are chronically dying, these are things that you can't obviously help, and they're big energy drainers. But we have to revert that into energy gainers. So we have to do whatever we can with what we have, and such as perimenopause, estrogen supplements, vitamins, exercise, self-care, yada yada. Those are things that we can do that can build up our energy gainers as well. And you had mentioned something else before, and I remember. There was just so much.
I love you.
So sweet. So
That's
sweet.
an energy gainer right there. Yeah, he's headed back to work. I think, well, one of the things that we talked about before was, yes, we have a choice, and I love that you brought up I'm a little itchy on my face today. We brought up that's my mustache growing back right there.
It happens. I got beard. It's okay.
We have a choice of what we want to spend our energy on. And my husband leaves the cabinet doors open, all of them. He'll go in the kitchen, and whatever one he opens, he just leaves it open, and the dishwasher, open, so you walk by and you bang your shin on it or whatever. And I honestly, it's a choice. I'm not gonna lie, I'm not an angel. Okay, I'm not an angel. There are times where I'm like, ugh. And I just choose not to be frustrated about that. That is not where I want to spend my energy. So it's a lot less energy expenditure to just shut the damn cabinet than it is to pick that battle, because there are other battles that I could pick. What you looking for, sweetheart? They're on the counter upstairs in the bathroom. Oh, I'm so sorry. So yeah, it's really just a matter of pick and choose. Stop and mindfully, it's all about mindfulness, right? Take a look at what you want to spend your energy on and what you don't. And, being a teacher helped me with this so much, because there were kids that, they had gone through so much trauma that I would have to decide what I wanted to spend energy on. And it was amazing how the other kids in the classroom would know that this kid over here was going to get away with something that they would never get away with. And the kids were really good at understanding that. And it was because this kid's needs were very, very different. And it's the same in our relationship. Just because we're the same family doesn't mean that we all have the same needs.
Exactly.
And I'll tell you that understanding that has not only helped my energy levels, but it helps my relationships. And what do you think about that as far as helping people's sex lives?
Well, let's rewind a little bit and we'll come back to that in just a few. But what I wanted to also, well, no, we'll talk about that first, and then we'll come to this here thing. I wanted to show an easy exercise on what anybody can do at
Yay!
home.
Tips.
Anybody can do and sit and write it out, because you and I are both journal-y people.
Yes.
There is a neurological connection between this and paper.
Yes.
So this is an exercise that we're going to do with this, and it's extremely helpful. But we'll come back to that. Please remind me.
Okay, I will.
So ask your question again, just in my brain.
How does understanding that everybody has different needs as far as what you can expect of them? Like, you can hold the same standard for everybody, but the expectations of how people get there is going to be very different. How does that help in our sex lives?
That is a super deep question that I could talk about for hours. So let me see if I can generalize this. So yes, everybody's energy drainers and gainers, and how they get there and what's expected of them is everybody is different. Even in an intimate relationship, even if you are if you're single and you just hook up with people, safely and consensually, obviously, no matter where you are in your sex life, this can pertain to anyone. Knowing what you like first and foremost. What are your energy drainers? What are your energy gainers? What are your turn-ons? What are your turn-offs? What are your boundaries? Like, that is the first and foremost number one thing that you need to figure out.
It's the biggest energy gainer you have.
It is knowing you.
Know yourself. Yes.
Yeah. And it's your body, it's your mind, it's your emotions. Listen to it, follow it, take the time to get to know it.
And communicate it with others.
Yes. If you like something that one day, you might not like it the next day too. So be open with that as well, especially women. I'm just going to say it. We just got to admit our shit.
One day I'm all down for butt sex and the next day I'm not, okay?
Yeah, it's good. It's cool. And we had talk about touch aversion. I'm not going to say I suffer from it, but it's a drainer sometimes. And one day I might like a little nibbles on the neck, and the other I'm like,
don't touch me there. Yeah.
Get the fuck off, kind of thing. I have to learn how to communicate that with my lover or even my kids. Sometimes I don't like hugs, and I'm like,
and your friends, and absolutely.
Yeah. So knowing what you have, knowing your boundaries, and learning an efficient way to communicate them with everyone, that is the number one thing. That alone can be a task, but once that energy drainer task is fulfilled, and you see the easier way of how communication works and how knowing your body and knowing your pleasure, it then turns up into be an energy gainer in all aspects. Secondly, open and encourage that from your partner. Number one, if you express communication that way, they will in turn most likely be comfortable doing that with you. If there is a little bit of hesitation, encourage that. Maybe have a night where you and your partner are in bed, and instead of focusing on you and what you like, you then focus on them. Do you like this? Maybe give them a body mapping of your own. Do you like it when I do this? Tell me what you like. What are some things that you do like? You can have a nonchalant conversation. You can have a drink with your partner after the kids go to bed, or go on a date night and just talk about that over some drinks, some cocktails, coffee, lunch, whatever. And then just listen. If something, like, let's say for an example, you go through this wild, intense, hot sex session and you are pleasantly drained, you say that, like, I really loved this. And then the next day you had all the freaking energy in the world because you just had hot, vibrant fucking sex. But then the next day, like I had said, your energy is lower and you want more of the subtle, sensual stuff. If you guys are in complete opposites, take turns. Like, there's just communication is the number one goddamn key that we always come back to. So communication, that's just what it is.
Whether it be in everyday mundane activities or sex.
Yeah.
Or,
definitely.
absolutely. Okay. The activity.
Oh, okay. You got me on the roll here. So what it is you just grab a piece of paper and a pencil, and you can columnize this any way that you want to. I'm just going to quick draw this up. I'm almost done. So I don't know if anybody, can you see that? Okay, probably. Okay. So you can columnize this however you want it. So this is one quick way, energy gainers and drainers up here. And then what can I do about it? So you always want to think about the drainers. You can either, it's totally up to you. You can pick at the end of the day, what drained me today? Was it your job? Do you fucking hate your job? Write down your job. Maybe write 2 or 3 specifics, main specifics. You know, as of right now, I don't hate my job, but my job is not a place where I feel my energy is being gained. Except for when I get cash tips, then it is. But yeah. So I'm just gonna write my job, and I'm gonna write a couple of specific things. And this is true. So I'm being vulnerable with you, and this is true. My job is an energy drainer because I do not feel appreciated for the
And
work
that's
that I
not your
do.
sex coach job. That is
I dog grooming. I do dog grooming. I'm the salon manager. So I do not feel appreciated in my job whatsoever. I feel that there is a disconnect from all employees except for the one that I worked with right next to me. And that really bothers me. There's always catty talking. There's always attention as soon as I walk in the door. It's just a different energy. And then it's not safe. It's not a safe place to work, and I'm not saying that safety is completely out the window, but there's not enough new equipment, the floor is falling apart, and there's black mold where I work. So that's just really not a healthy place to live for me or the little animals. And this has all been addressed, and communication is huge. So I wrote that down, okay? In the drainer. And then for the gainers, what do I get that are gainers in my job? You know, I always try to look for a positive in everything that I have, whether it's the shittiest of the shit. Always try to look for the positive. What do I like about my job? I love my fur friends, even the crappy ones. Everybody goes through a bad day, even our fur friends.
Yep.
I love my fur friends. I absolutely adore the other groomer that works with me. She makes it super fun. And I love my cash tips. So those are the things that I wrote here. Okay. What active steps, what action steps can I do? So that's down here for this specific need here. Okay. And you can even go to specify it, like I said before, what drained me today in my job, what drained me last week in my job. And I like to do weekly ones. So this last week, what drained me in my job this last week really is not communicating with the sales associates as a team. And what can I personally do for that? I can't control everybody else and what they do. But what can I do to make communication with sales associates at work more energy pleasurable or an energy gainer for me? And I can communicate with sales associates on a more sale associate level. And what I mean by that is that the sales associates, I work in a dog store, like a pet store, and the grooming salon is it's a added on. The sales associates obviously do not know grooming, and I forget that. So I need to tell them exactly what I want. When they're making my appointments, I have to tell them exactly what I want and exactly what I need, and I need to be very clear. Sometimes I forget that. So that's what I can do. I can be extremely clear at the end of each day if there's a dog left, what I need done. Can you please do this? And I use manners, ask. Use it in a you're doing me a favor and I will appreciate you forever kind of tone. And I have found that to be an energy gainer. Everything shifts. I controlled that.
Yeah,
So that's what I
I
can
call
do.
that assuming the positive.
Yeah,
So
that's a
it's
good one.
not when they don't do what you want, it's not that they're doing that on purpose, it's that they
Mm-hmm.
just don't know.
Yep.
So sharing in sharing exactly what you want and possibly doing that multiple times because it's not intuitive to them, it's something that they have to learn and it needs to be repeated to make that happen. That is great. Yeah, I call
Yeah.
that assuming the positive, and that really is a huge mind shift.
And you can shift that and use that in anything. If you're
All
having
over the place.
communication
Mhm.
issues in your relationship, you can use it in sex, you can use it in your job, anything.
Yep.
As long as you specifically tell them what you need and want.
Yep.
You're going to
And
get it.
if you're not sure on that, I recommend that you get this book. It's called The Energy Bus. It is by John Gordon. It's called The Energy Bus. You can get it. There's a whole bunch of stuff online from John Gordon, Jon Gordon, and it's called The Energy Bus. It is, I highly recommend it. It's an easy read. It doesn't take very
Awesome.
long, and y'all, it can make a huge difference if you pay attention to the message.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And so that's something that I can control. Not having a safe environment. What can I do about that? If I'm not purchasing, I don't own this business. What can I do with addressing this? And I have taken action steps towards this, and it's not 100% yet, but I really did have to talk to the owner, and I had to tell him, look, I have hurt myself twice. I've had hip surgery twice because of this job. I think I deserve a raise. If I don't get this amount of money in a raise, and you do not provide me with a safe floor to walk on, I'm going to leave.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, that's what it took to get that. I still don't have a safe floor, but he did fix it for now. And I got a whole bunch of new equipment. I wasn't working with unsafe equipment anymore. I'm not taking dogs that my body will not allow me to do anymore. And so I had to sit down and I had to put my boundaries in place. And that was really scary for me to do.
I remember when you were going through all of this.
Yes, it was super scary for me to do
Mm-hmm.
because I kept thinking, well, what if he tells me that I don't have a job? I need this job. I need my job. Most people need their job. But it was just something that I had to do. I had to go until I walked into his office and go, this is this. And I did it in a professional manner. Don't get me wrong. I wrote down a script and I read my script to him. And he did get upset at a couple of things, but then I stuck with my boundaries. I stuck with, look, this is my job. This is my income. I understand you can only do so much, but this is what I do need you to do because I know you can do it.
Right.
If you don't do it, you're going to lose me as your salon manager. And because then he finally realized that I am of value to him and to his business and to the salon. And he does appreciate me, even though he does not show it a lot. He went ahead and he agreed to these things. And so that's my power. That's what I did. So that turned into be an energy gainer.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's just what I can do. And what I do every week is at the end of every week, do a little sheet like this. What has drained me? What has gained me? And I write down, like last week was trying to juggle everything. That was my drainer.
Doing all the things.
Doing all the things. And my energy gainers was same as above. I have to prioritize my planner. I hate planners. I've just come to admit that.
I know
hate
you
planners.
do. I know.
I do. But that was kind of your drainer into a gainer.
Mm-hmm.
I hate sitting down and writing out my days. I hate it. I don't like it. But if I do that every Sunday night and I take 45 minutes to write down the rest of my week in pencil in case shit happens, I am more organized and I have way more time than ever thought I fucking would.
Yeah, you no longer have to put that time and energy into remembering what needs to be done, because you
Yeah.
can just look at it and, oh, look, there it is. It doesn't mean that you're a boring person. It doesn't mean that you don't have spontaneity anymore. It just means that you are prioritizing things. And when you physically, okay, I know that there are a lot of people who like the digital stuff, and that is great. I use both. But I know from a neuroscience standpoint, when you physically write that stuff down and you go through the process of the physical, you're using the brain the way the brain is supposed to be used, both sides together. You've got the left and the right working together. And
Yes.
that's how the brain is supposed to be used. That's how we get that full mind, body, spirit connection. So, and I know
For
I'm
sure.
preaching to the choir, because this is what I've told you many, 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 many times when we talk. And my first question is always, are you using your planner?
Yeah.
And that's my first question to myself too. When I feel exhausted, I have to look and say, have I been using my planner? And a lot of times it's because I'm not. Oops, get back into that. And people can contact either one of us if they need a little bit of help with that, because we can certainly help them learn a process and what works for them. You know, not everybody uses their planner in exactly the same way. We're just saying use a planner. And if you need
Yeah,
help using
definitely.
a planner, let us know. It can help not only your regular everyday life, but your sex life.
It can too. Yes. If you find that you're getting way too busy to be intimate with your partner as well, it's okay to schedule it.
Yep.
Schedule it.
Yep.
Even if you're not in the mood that day, do it
Do it
anyway.
anyway. Yeah.
You know, do it anyway. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you'll get into the mood. Prime the pump.
Yep.
Is what
Yep.
we like to say. Prime the pump. Just do it. And you'll be surprised as to how much just having sex is an energy gainer. You forget how it feels. You forget that connection. You forget the intimacy until you start doing it.
Well, and there are some kinds,
Definitely.
let's be honest, and we'll talk about this at some point, but there are some kinds of sex that you have to prepare in advance.
Yeah,
There are some things that
for
have
sure.
to, because you have to think about your diet and the prepping process and the materials that you're going to need and all of that. So, yeah, we'll talk about that another time.
We certainly will. We
So
certainly
that'll be a
will.
fun conversation.
It will.
So I know we could talk a whole lot more about this, and people can certainly join the Real Talk group. They can also join the Journey of Self group. If you want to come in and have a little bit more conversation about this, there's a little bit more there. And so the Real Talk group is for men and women, and it is intimacy, relationships, and sexuality. And the Journey of Self group is for women only. And and when I say women, I mean anyone who identifies as a woman
Yes.
is welcome in that group, and that's where we talk about all of this other stuff and menopause and periods and whatever stuff you have.
Et
Plus,
cetera, et
I've been
cetera.
putting workout videos in there every day by some people who I really enjoy. So there are lots and lots and lots of options. So
There are.
anything you want to say before we jump off here?
No, if anything, if anybody gets anything from this, I would just recommend sitting down and just doing the exercise, even if it's
Drainers,
what you,
gainers, what can you
what
do?
can I do? Yeah, what can I do to make those
Drainers, gainers,
drainers
what
more
can you do?
gainers?
And of course, let us know if you need a little bit of support with that.
Yes.
All right. So with that, guys, we are going to hop off here, and we'll see you tomorrow. Mwah.
Bye-bye.